Hello, and welcome to the Science Studio. The room around you is still. A pale beam of moonlight brushes the edge of the blanket curled around your shoulders. Curtains sway gently with the hush of the night air, and somewhere far beyond, stars blink slowly, ancient and unbothered. Tonight, we begin a journey, not across roads or oceans, but through thoughts and distant skies. Our story is called The Rise and Fall of Alien Civilizations. It's a slow drift through the great unknown, a gentle search for life, for minds, for memories on worlds we'll never touch. Not science fiction, but a quiet imagining, rooted in the real rhythms of the cosmos. You won't need to understand everything. Just listen, float, wonder. If this brings you peace, a soft tap on the like button means the world. And if you're listening from somewhere far away, I'd love to know where and what time it is there. Now let your shoulders drop, feel the quiet settle in. Whatever comes next, you can simply listen. Imagine standing beneath a sky that stretches farther than thought, a sky so full of stars that it hums with silent questions. You look up, and a quiet wonder begins to form. With so many suns, so many worlds, could there be someone else looking back? Not with noise or fear, but with curiosity, as if the stars were mirrors, each one reflecting a version of you, waiting, listening, dreaming. Tonight, you begin where all questions begin, with silence. The stars are everywhere tonight. They spill across the sky like grains of sugar poured slowly over black velvet, endless and glowing. You lie still beneath their quiet shimmer, your breath falling in time with the darkness. Each point of light is a sun, and around each sun might turn planets, some cold and lifeless, others warm and alive. You can almost feel the possibilities spinning like soft music just out of reach. In this stillness, you begin to wonder. A question begins to form, slow and soft. If there are so many stars, why is it so quiet? This is where your journey begins. In the cosmic silence, the silence of the universe is not emptiness. It is a silence full of things waiting to be known. Astronomers call it the Fermi paradox, the strange contradiction between high probability and the absence of evidence. You don't need to know the math. Just imagine a room the size of a continent filled with candles. Now imagine only one is lit. That's the Milky Way, and we are the flickering light. You close your eyes and drift upward, away from Earth, away from noise, rising through layers of sky until gravity loosens its grip. The clouds fall below you, the blue fades to black, and the stars become sharp, white threads sewn into the fabric of night. You drift past satellites, then space stations, then silence. You are floating in the darkness now. All around you, galaxies bloom like dandelions, vast, slow explosions of starlight. Each one holds billions of stars, and some of those stars must hold life. So why, you ask again, is there no whisper, no echo, no sign? The question isn't new. It's as old as radios and rockets. In the 20th century, scientists began pointing antennas at the sky, searching for signals, patterns, pulses, mathematical rhythms, not static, not noise, but signs of thought. They listened and heard only the hush. That hush still surrounds you. It isn't a cold silence, it's thick, like velvet. It feels like being in a great cathedral after the last bell. Not empty, but waiting. Perhaps you think we are early. Maybe civilizations rise like flowers, rare and fleeting. Maybe others will bloom later, long after our own petals fall. Or perhaps we are late, and what we are really hearing are echoes. 1,000 civilizations that flared and faded before we opened our ears. The idea lingers like fog. Could it be that life burns bright but brief, and always burns itself out? You picture a planet like Earth, but older. Its oceans wide, its minds vast. They build cities, machines, dreams. They look up, just like we do. And then, one day, their lights go out, you wonder. Does silence mean no one is there? Or just that no one is speaking now? Some scientists believe life is common, but intelligence is rare. Others say intelligence is everywhere, but survival, that's the hard part. Still others imagine great civilizations hiding on purpose, quiet by choice, like deer in the forest, who have learned to avoid the hunter. And there's a softer thought, too. Maybe we simply don't know how to listen. Maybe their messages aren't sounds, but gravity ripples. Maybe their thoughts are sung in neutrinos, or painted in magnetic fields. Maybe we're still just learning the alphabet, and the cosmos is already writing poetry. You drift deeper into the stars, the hush like a blanket now. Every idea folds into the next, like lullabies overlapping in the dark. The stars around you blink with patience. They do not rush. They've seen civilizations come and go, worlds born and broken, lights lit and lost. And in the quiet, a new thought takes shape. What if we are the beginning? What if we are the first to listen, the first to ask, the first to look into the dark and say, is anyone there? You feel small, yes, but also luminous. You, with your thoughts and questions, are part of the universe waking up to itself. And suddenly, the silence doesn't feel so lonely. It feels full of potential. A space not empty, but open. You rest in that space, like a leaf on still water. Maybe the answer will come tomorrow, or in 1,000 years, or never. But for now, you are here and listening, and that matters. Above and around you, the stars continue to shine, not louder, not closer, but constant. And as you drift deeper into the night, you begin to wonder where the first sparks of life might flicker next. You drift now through time as much as space. Gone are the questions of silence. For now, you listen for something deeper, not the voice of a civilization, but the murmur of beginnings. Not words, but the first stirrings of something that wants to be alive. Close your eyes. Imagine a planet younger than memory. Its sky is heavy, its oceans dark. Lightning forks through thick clouds, and volcanoes bloom from the sea like slow red flowers. There is no one to see them yet, but the stage is set. Asterisk on Earth. Life may have begun in such places, deep vents in the ocean where heat meets chemistry, in a breathless dance. There, no sunlight reaches, but the warmth of the Earth's belly is enough. Molecules gather, shake hands, and try new shapes. Some stick, some don't. But again and again, the dance continues. Could the same happen elsewhere? Your mind floats to a planet shrouded in ice. Beneath its frozen shell, an ocean stirs. It is warmed not by a sun, but by tides. Gravity itself kneading the planet like dough, creating heat where none should be. Here, in this buried sea, chemicals mix in silence. Perhaps, in that silence, something begins to listen. Or maybe life begins not in water at all, but in air. On a gas giant wrapped in storms, there may be layers of clouds so dense they form their own oceans. Ammonia rains fall like silver threads. Lightning branches across the sky in wide branching strokes. And in these clouds, floating, rising, falling, small structures may form. They pulse, divide, cluster. They drift like jellyfish, feeding on light or chemistry or something we cannot yet name. Not cells as we know them, but something else, something new, still alive. The conditions for life are gentle and precise, and yet the universe is wide. With opportunity, carbon is common. So is water, so is time. And time, more than anything, is what life needs to try and try again. You drift now through a laboratory of worlds, a rocky moon with hydrogen seas, a super-Earth with dense atmosphere and soft winds, a planet orbiting two suns, its days marked by twin shadows. In every corner you feel the potential, not in explosions or miracles, but in the slow, almost invisible stitching of atoms into patterns. What makes something alive? The question sways in your mind like a lantern on a boat. It flickers, but never goes out. On Earth, life means replication, the ability to make more of oneself. It means response to light, to heat, to touch. And it means complexity, not all at once, but growing over time, like the rings of a tree. You picture an alien cell, if such a thing can be called a cell. It may not have membranes or DNA. Its instructions might lie in fields, not strands. Its shape might shift like mist, but still it holds intention. A subtle yearning to continue, to connect, to change. That yearning, that persistence, is the heartbeat of life, and so you listen for it. On Mars, long ago, there may have been rivers. In those rivers, perhaps a molecule once twisted just right. Maybe it tried to split. Maybe it failed. Or maybe, for a moment, it succeeded. You'll never know, but the riverbeds still hold their curves like fossils of dreams. Life, you see, is not always obvious. It may come in forms you'd never recognize. It may glow faintly under ultraviolet skies. It may sleep for centuries, then bloom in minutes. It may live in crystals, or dust, or ice. The possibilities wrap around you like a warm tide, and through it all, you return to the beginning not just of life, but of a life, yours. Once you were a cluster of cells, before that, a bundle of codes, before that, a set of chemicals waiting for a spark. You were made of atoms that were once ash inside stars. Those atoms found one another again, long after those stars were gone. And now, here you are, breathing, imagining, drifting. It is not a stretch to believe that somewhere else, in a sea you will never see, some other atoms are doing the same. They do not know of you, they do not call themselves anything, but they gather, they divide, they try. They are the first sparks of something we might one day recognize as living. And perhaps, in the deep hush of their world, a question stirs, just as it did in you. Where did I come from? You let that thought carry you, gently, like a leaf across a pond. You do not need answers tonight, only wonder, only the softness of imagining the stars are still above you. The silence remains, but now you know silence is not stillness. Beneath it, things move, things warm, things begin, and as you float through the cradle of possibilities, your thoughts begin to shift toward the next question. Life has begun, but how does a planet learn to breathe? You drift now through skies that are not your own. Beneath you, planets turn slowly round, silent marbles adrift in starlight. Some are bare, wrapped only in stone and memory. Others breathe, not like lungs, but like oceans made of air. A shimmer, a swirl, a whisper across a world's surface. The beginning of something soft. A planet, just born, does not yet know how to breathe. Its surface is molten, restless. Its crust forms slowly, like cooling skin. But above, gases gather, exhaled by rock, released by comets, delivered by ancient collisions. Carbon dioxide, nitrogen, hydrogen, methane. Their names do not matter here. What matters is movement. What matters is the hush before the inhale, and then the atmosphere thin at first. Like a veil, it shifts and grows, wrapping the planet like a thought, becoming solid. And this air, invisible, immeasurable by eye, will shape everything that comes next. You float closer, letting yourself fall into this sky. Here, a young world wears a reddish haze, thick and warm. The light from its sun bends through particles, painting the air in rust and rose. Clouds tower like continents, heavy with gases we cannot breathe, but which, perhaps, something else can. You wonder what it would feel like to walk on such a world. Would the wind be slow and syrupy? Would lightning taste like metal in the back of your throat? Would the rain fall in drops or in dust? Atmospheres are not just blankets, they are mirrors. They reflect the planet's inner life. What erupts from its rocks, what dissolves in its seas, what breathes on its surface, all of it becomes sky. On Earth, our sky began without oxygen. It was a sky of fire and ash, of thick clouds and long red twilights. Then, slowly, life changed the air. Tiny creatures in ancient seas exhaled a new kind of breath. Oxygen, invisible and strange. At first, it poisoned everything that came before. But then, it lit a path to complexity, to fire, to thought. The air became not just something to breathe, but something to become. You imagine another world, not Earth, but distant. Its atmosphere is violet, kissed by methane. Its clouds are high and slow, casting shadows like lace across golden sand. The creatures there might not need lungs. They may drink air through skin, or absorb it through crystal-like leaves. They may not see sky as you do. They may not see it all, but still they are shaped by it, by what the sky lets in, by what it holds out. You drift higher now, toward the edge where atmosphere meets space. This line, so thin, so faint, is the boundary between home and silence. Without it, life cannot hold warmth. With it, life can bloom in countless forms. Some planets lose their air. They are too small or too close to angry suns. Winds from space strip them bare, leaving only memory in the dust. Others hold on tight. With magnetic fields and thick gravity, they cradle their atmospheres like treasure. On these planets, clouds form and fall in cycles. Storms speak in seasons, and every drop of rain, every whisper of breeze, is part of a larger rhythm. You listen to those rhythms now. A super-Earth hums beneath you, its atmosphere heavy and slow. The pressure at the surface would crush your bones. But to the life that lives there, if life has found a way, it is a gentle embrace. You think of Titan, Saturn's moon. Its air is thick, its lakes made of methane. There, sunlight is dim and filtered, not gold, but amber. Would a sunset there be like candlelight seen through smoked glass? Would the wind carry the scent of something unnameable? What colors would a storm be on a planet lit by 2 suns? You begin to see atmospheres not just as science, but as but as poetry, each one a stanza in the larger song of a planet, each molecule a note, each breeze a line of verse. Atmospheres change with time, too. They are not fixed. A world may begin with one breath and learn to breathe anew. Some, like Mars, lose their voices. Their skies grow thin, their warmth escapes, and they fall into silence. Others find harmony, a balance between sun and shadow, breath and flame. And when they do, the door opens wider. For air is not just protection, it is conversation. It speaks with oceans, carries sense of life across continents, shapes clouds into stories. And to any creature that breathes, it is the first lullaby, the rhythm behind every heartbeat. You close your eyes and imagine breathing in an alien sky. Would it be warm? Would it taste of salt or ash or flowers unknown to Earth? Would it whisper to your bones in a language older than words? Whatever its form, air is the bridge between planet and life. Without it, fire cannot burn, voices cannot travel, life cannot lift its head. You think now of your own sky. How easily we forget. It is a gift, delicate, dynamic, alive. It shields, it warms, it listens. It carries seeds, songs, storms. It holds the breadth of forests and the size of cities. And somewhere far away, another planet's sky is doing the same in its own way. With its own ingredients, under its own light, a planet, somewhere, is still learning to breathe, still thickening its sky, still testing what it can hold, and what it must let go. And when the air is just right, not too harsh, not too still, life may rise and reach and begin to think and thought. That is where the sky becomes something more. You feel yourself float higher toward the edge of the atmosphere once more, where space waits patiently and air begins to thin. What comes after breathing? What rises from the soil, from the sea, to shape the air in return? You drift now into the very heart of matter. The skies you left behind have thickened and stirred, and the first whispers of breath have filled them. But what speaks within those breaths? What dreams behind the forming shapes? Tonight, you listen not to wind or wave, but to the smallest of conversations, the language of chemistry. It is a quiet language, spoken in bonds and angles, in charges and shapes. You do not need to know its full grammar to feel its rhythm. Like music, it moves you, even when you cannot name the notes. On Earth, life speaks in carbon. Carbon is the poet of the periodic table, flexible, generous, endlessly creative. It links hand in hand with other atoms, forming chains, loops, branches. Like letters forming words, these chains build the sentences of life, proteins, sugars, fats, the long spirals of DNA. But carbon is not the only tongue. Out in the galaxy, the dialects of chemistry shift. In places colder or warmer, drier or wetter, new structures emerge, and you, a quiet traveler in the night, float gently through their forming thoughts. Here is a world where silicon is the storyteller. Silicon, the cousin of carbon, holds hands in a different way. It prefers rocks to water, deserts to oceans. Its molecules build more slowly, more stiffly, but with their own kind of grace. You imagine a life form built from silicates, like glass with memory, crystal minds thinking in the rhythm of tectonic plates, and over here, a moon with ammonia seas. Ammonia, the cool sister of water, flows in deeper cold. It dissolves, carries, binds. In its embrace, molecules twist into new shapes. Cells here might be more fragile, more strange. You picture soft membranes glowing like jelly, humming with uncertain light. Each world holds its own chemistry, like a local language. The elements are the same, but the way they combine, the way they speak is shaped by their environment. You drift now through a misty gas giant, rich with sulfur and lightning. The clouds churn with yellow fire. Could life emerge here in gas, not liquid, not anchored to soil, but floating, dancing, feeding on electric sparks? You imagine balloon-like organisms, wide and delicate, drifting in layers, absorbing energy, not from food, but from storms. Their bodies might be made of molecules. We haven't even named rings and branches of possibilities, forming slowly over eons. The farther you drift, the more you realize life is not one sentence, written once. It is many stories, told in countless scripts, some written in carbon ink, others traced in vapor or metal or frost. Yet in every version, the longing is the same: to connect, to continue, to become more. That is the shared soul of chemistry, a quiet desire to build something enduring from parts that once were scattered. You picture an alien ocean, thick with strange molecules, not familiar amino acids, but something else. Coils of elements dancing together, testing new forms. You don't know what they're called, but you can feel their meaning. They are trying. They are reaching. Back on Earth, life still carries the echoes of its chemical origin. Every heartbeat, every breath is a sentence formed by atoms. Your thoughts are built from tiny decisions between molecules, unfolding in time like poetry written in silence. And out there, far away, other poems are being written. Some may rhyme with ours, some may be utterly unfamiliar, but each one is a response to the world it lives in. This too is the language of chemistry, not fixed rules, but adaptation, not a rigid script, but improvisation in the face of changing light, pressure, time. You pass now through a planetary lab, icy moons that shatter and reform, asteroids carrying organic dust, clouds rich with prebiotic stirrings. Everywhere the universe is mixing, trying, listening, and the more you look, the more you realize chemistry is not just the seed of life. It is its memory, its rhythm, its voice. You are made of this language. Your bones are poems of calcium and carbon, your thoughts, songs of sodium and potassium. Your skin, a story told by hydrogen and oxygen holding hands. So when you float past an alien tide pool or glide through clouds lit by ultraviolet light, you are not separate, you are fluent. You are listening to cousins long unseen. You do not know if they are alive yet. You do not know if they ever will be, but the language is there, the words are forming, and the silence, once again, begins to stir. In the hush between atoms, something waits, a structure, a message, a spark, and soon a shape begins to rise. Not just molecules, but patterns. Not just reactions, but intentions. Something is beginning to organize. You drift now between stars, not the stars of Earth's calm skies, but stranger ones, old, erratic, distant. They do not all shine the same. Some flicker, some roar, some smolder quietly for billions of years, while others flare and fade in a breath. And around them, planets turn, slowly, crookedly, sometimes not at all. You are floating in a sky where time bends. One orbit may take 100 of your years, another just a day. Some planets tip and wobble as they turn, while others lock one face to the sun forever. Light on one side, eternal night on the other. These are alien seasons, strange years shaped not by months or moons, but by light and tilt and distance. Here, spring may last a lifetime. Winter may be the default state of being. You begin near a red dwarf star. It glows, dim and steady, like a coal in the palm of the universe. Its light is soft, more infrared than visible. A planet here must huddle close to stay warm. But in that closeness comes danger. Flares, sudden, fierce bursts of energy, washing the planet in radiation. You imagine life here, evolving under pressure, not fragile, but resilient. Skins thickened against solar outbursts, eyes attuned to long, low wavelengths. Societies that live underground or in oceans, surfacing only in calm cycles. Their days may pass slowly, measured in pulses of safety between storms. Now you drift toward a system with a double sun, two stars circling each other, and a planet weaving between them. The light here is never still. Shadows cross and cross again, like dancers changing partners on a floor of shifting gold. Sometimes both suns rise together. Sometimes one sets while the other hangs low and crimson. Seasons here are a kind of music, complicated, unpredictable. Elegant dot, would life learn to follow that music? Would it store energy when both suns shine and sleep when only one remains? Would its rhythms be like tides, not of water but of light? Further on, you find a world tilted almost sideways. Its poles burn under long, endless summers. Then, slowly, the light fades, and winter settles in for decades. You imagine creatures migrating not across land, but across time, dormant in one hemisphere, blooming in the other, perhaps entire. Ecosystems shift like breathing lungs, swelling and shrinking with the sun's path. Somewhere else, a tidally locked planet orbits close to its star, one half scorched in perpetual day, the other frozen in endless night. Only the thin twilight band between the terminator is habitable. Here life would walk a narrow thread, neither too hot nor too cold, always chasing the line between extremes. Cities may stretch like beads along that band. Journeys are not across distance, but across temperature, and always the stars above shape what's possible. For it is the sun, whatever shape or color it takes, that writes the script of a world. Its brightness decides the chemistry, its cycles dictate the seasons. Its moods determine whether life can flourish, hide, or endure. You think of Earth's gentle balance, our sun steady, our tilt mild, our orbit nearly round. It has gifted us stable seasons, reliable light, room to grow. But life, you've seen, is not limited to balance. It finds a way in chaos. 2. On planets with erratic orbits, stretched like ovals instead of circles, winters may come swift and crushing, summers brief but fierce. And yet, even here, life may persist. Not in the open, but in layers, burrowed deep, encysted, paused. A seed can wait decades for warmth. A creature can slow its heart to a whisper and sleep through cold. Centuries dot. You drift gently now, past a dying star. Its light is faint and flickering, like a candle near its end. Around it, a planet orbits slowly, ancient, scarred, alone. The seasons here are not just marked by tilt or orbit. They are cosmic. They are eras. The star once blazed bright, perhaps. Now it fades. And life, if it remains, must reckon with that loss. You picture beings who remember the light, who measure history in shadows, whose myths are not of gods, but of warmth, who speak of the sky with reverence, not for what it gives, but for what it took. Even in darkness, there is adaptation. Photosynthesis gives way to chemosynthesis. Vision shifts to vibration, heat, or sound. Minds turn inward, storing knowledge like fire for the long winter ahead. You are struck by a simple truth. Light shapes not just life's biology, but its story. A planet with long days and short nights may breed cultures of clarity and growth. One with erratic suns may teach resilience, caution, patience, and one with fading light may birth philosophies of preservation and quiet endurance. These aren't just environmental effects, they are emotional climates, spiritual weather. They shape how a civilization feels, remembers, and dreams. As you continue to drift, the stars shift slowly past you, each one a sun, each one a seasoned dashmaker. You begin to feel the quiet intelligence of worlds adapting to heat, to cold, to chaos, to calm. It's not just life finding a place, it's life learning to read the sky. And just as creatures learn to bloom in cycles, so too might minds, awakening not once, but again and again, each time the light allows. You wonder now, on some distant world, is spring returning? Is a civilization, long dormant, stirring from its long sleep? Are they stretching, warming, remembering what it is to grow? You cannot see them, but you feel the seasons shifting. You feel the light returning, slow and gold, and from within the soil of time, something begins to rise. There is water in the dark. You float now, gently into places where no light reaches, no sun, no sky, no horizon, and yet there are oceans, not oceans with waves you can see, not ones that crash upon sand or pull away with the moon. These are hidden seas folded beneath crusts of ice, or sloshing inside planets too strange to name. You listen, and the silence hums. Far from the warmth of any star, a moon circles its giant. The giant is immense, a swollen gas world, heavy with stripes and storms. And this moon, like many others, is cracked and cold on the outside, but warm within. Its name might be Europa or Enceladus, or something no tongue on earth has ever shaped. It doesn't matter. What matters is this. Beneath its icy shell, an ocean moves, not frozen, not still, but flowing, alive. You drift beneath the ice, not breaking it, but passing through, and you enter a world turned inward. The sea is endless here, without wind or shore. The ceiling glows faintly, not with light, but with pressure. The floor rumbles sometimes like breathing. Hydrothermal vents, deep and black, spit minerals into the water like ancient storytellers. Heat, not sunlight, powers this world, and from that heat, life may bloom. Tiny cells drifting like sparks, tube worms with mouths like flowers, mats of microbes clinging to stone, perhaps even something stranger with limbs or lights, or songs that vibrate through water thick as memory. You listen again. There is no speech here, but there is rhythm. Tides pulled not by a single moon, but by the giant planet itself, its gravity stirring the water like a gentle spoon. This is an ocean without sky, and yet it lives. Elsewhere, another moon spins, slower, heavier, colder. Its ocean is trapped beneath a crust miles thick. No cracks, no geysers, just ice, dot and still. It moves. You feel the tension in its frozen shell, like a heartbeat. Under frost, tiny flexes and stretches, powered by gravity's eternal kneading. The water beneath has never met light, but it knows warmth, it knows time. Perhaps there are creatures here with no need for eyes, only senses that feel pressure and scent. Perhaps they live for centuries in silence, or grow so slowly that movement is something passed from parent to child like a story. You wonder if they sleep. You wonder if they dream. Now you drift toward a gas giant, not its moons, but its own blurred body. Deep within its swirling stripes, there may be layers where liquid forms, not water, perhaps, but oceans of metallic hydrogen, dense and hot, crushed by gravity into something strange and bright. You do not enter, only float nearby. But you imagine, could life arise in such a place? Would it be liquid, shifting, shimmering like heat? What would it mean to swim in a planet made of storms? You return now to more familiar waters, not in content, but in feeling. A planet spins slowly, wrapped in haze. Its surface is hidden, but models suggest oceans. Thick, endless oceans, too deep for any flaw to be seen. Storms rage, above, but beneath, calm. A world of waves, untouched by land. You drift just beneath that surface, rocked gently. And you wonder what it's like to never know a shoreline. To be born in motion, live in it, and dissolve into it when the time comes. Would creatures here ever seek edges? Would they invent land in their stories? Solidness, ending, arrival, even if they'd never seen it. Perhaps they are content with the drifting. Perhaps for them, direction is not linear, but circular. To move is to return. To live is to spiral, and so you feel it. The kinship of oceans everywhere, not just on Earth, not just blue and shallow, but black, glowing, gaslit, endless. Oceans that forget the sky, oceans that remember only gravity, heat, and hush. Oceans that sing not with waves, but with pressure, with chemistry, with time. You imagine a creature, somewhere far from here, pulsing in the dark with slow understanding. It does not look like you. It does not think in words, but it feels the water move and knows it is home. You wonder, if you met it, would it know you, too? Would it recognize the ocean in you, the salt in your blood, the tides of your breath? Because here is the quiet truth. You, too, come from water. Your ancestors once swam in Earth's own deep silence. You carry oceans in your veins and tides in your thoughts. And as you drift now, deeper still, you feel them calling, the oceans without shores. The songs sung in darkness, the gentle, endless slosh of something vast and waiting. You drift now, slowly, across a sea not made of water. The stars above hum softly in their stillness, and below a strange reef blooms across a rocky plain. But there is no ocean here, no blue waves, only mist and warmth, and a rhythm pulsing faintly beneath the crust of an alien world. You breathe, deeply, or at least you imagine breath. On this distant planet, the atmosphere may be thick with methane or hydrogen, but life ... it is here. And it grows not in cities or scripts or thoughts with names, but in colonies, tight-knit, responsive, whispering to themselves across time. You begin with coral, not alien yet, but earthly and ancient. In the warm shallows of Earth, corals live as tiny polyps, soft-bodied and still. Alone, they are simple, but in colonies, they build cities of calcium and color. They build reefs, entire landscapes, that shape the ocean's current and cradle. Fish in labyrinths of light. Yet coral does not think, not in the way you think of thought. No neurons, no brain. Still, they respond to light, to heat, to danger. They retract at touch. They glow under stress. They partner with algae, turning sunlight into shared food. Together, they adapt. Together, they remember now. Lift from Earth and carry that memory across space. What if a coral-like colony evolved on another world? A world whose sun is dim and red, whose oceans lie trapped beneath translucent ice. Would life there find a way to speak, not in words, but in rhythms of growth, in waves of bioluminescence, in changes to color and form that ripple through a colony like thoughts do through a brain? Some researchers on Earth call this distributed intelligence, a way of knowing that is shared, not centralized. Like the way slime molds find the shortest path to food, even without neurons. Or how mycelial networks in forests pass messages. From tree to tree, warnings of drought, or hunger, or harm. Your mind drifts now into an alien grove. Not trees, not roots, but tall crystalline spires, shimmering with soft light. They quiver when shadows pass overhead. They lean toward geothermal warmth. They pulse faintly at the base, like hearts beating underground. When one is damaged, others shift slightly, growing faster, wrapping tendrils toward the wounded. Is this intelligence? If not, is it something close? You watch as the colony changes with the seasons. When the light fades for long months, they hibernate, sealing in. Moisture slowing their signals. But when warmth returns from a sudden burst of the star or from tectonic fire below, they bloom again, colors rushing up like breath after long stillness. It is not thought, but it is reaction, and perhaps, recognition on another moon. Further still, you find floating mats on an endless sea. Each is miles wide, a living skin stretched taut across gentle waves. They drift slowly, shifting shape, curling to trap organic dust that falls from space. Beneath, slender tendrils dangle into the darkness, absorbing heat from vents below. When a mat senses another drifting near, it alters its shape. The edges fold inward or reach outward, avoiding collision, or sometimes merging, becoming one. Sensors embedded in the colony's edge detect gradients in pressure and chemical taste. Not neurons, but information, not thoughts, but choice. You. Think of the brain, your brain, and its billions of cells, each firing, reacting, adjusting. A single neuron cannot reason, but many. Together they dream. Could these alien colonies be the early dreamers? You remember that intelligence is not always fast, not always loud. On Earth, trees grow toward the sun over decades, and still they know where the light is. Venus flytraps, close in a heartbeat, but that heartbeat is slow, measured in minutes. Life listens in its own time. Perhaps, on distant worlds, life has had time. Not 10,000 years of civilization, but 1 billion years of silence. 1 billion years to build. Networks of coral-like beings that slowly learn the rhythms of their planet. 1 billion years to evolve ways of passing memory through chemistry, not language. Ways of adapting without ever inventing tools. And you wonder, would we even notice? If we looked for radios, for cities, for ships in the sky, would we miss these? Thinkers in the reef, these minds in the moss, these colonies that remember storms and turn to face them, not out of fear, but practice. Perhaps the universe is full of life that is not reaching out. not because it is silent, but because it is still, because it speaks in seasons, not seconds, in growth rings, not broadcasts. You feel your own mind quiet now. The reef around you, whether made of stone or light, hums gently, like a lullaby hummed from deep time, a language without words, a knowing without noise, and maybe, somewhere on a world orbiting a quiet star, a colony pulses in a cave of ice. It does not speak, it does not think, but it remembers, and in its remembering, it survives, and in its surviving, it learns, is. That not a kind of mind, as you float upward again, back into the dark between planets, you carry with you this gentle thought: not all minds need skulls, not all thoughts need words, not all civilizations rise by building, some rise by becoming, and so you drift onward, still listening. Fingers of fire, hands of ice, you arrive on a planet caught in a quiet war between fire and frost. Beneath your feet, the crust shivers. Hot veins pulse just below, where molten rock flows in silence, rising, retreating. Above, the sky is pale, stretched thin, and the wind carries the crisp breath of frozen things, ice not merely cold, but ancient dot. You are standing at the edge of a caldera, red and breathing. It glows from within like the eye of a buried sun. Far off, glaciers sprawl across valleys like sleeping beasts, their backs rising in slow motion over millennia. Fire, ice, each shaping the story of the land in strokes, both violent and slow. On Earth, volcanoes build islands and bury forests. Glaciers carve mountains, then retreat, leaving behind lakes, ridges, memories. You walk now through echoes of similar processes, but in alien scripts. Here, volcanoes erupt, not with lava, but with molten silicates, thick, heavy as syrup, yet brighter than flame. They pour over black stone, cooling into glassy plains where nothing grows, or so it seems. Look closer, and you notice patterns etched into the glass, spirals like ancient writing, cracks deliberate and fine. Beneath the surface, microbes wait, adapted to heat, to metal, to scarcity. They wake only when warmth pulses again, feeding on sulfur and minerals drawn up from deep within. They are born from fire, and fire, in its chaos, is their signal to bloom. Far to the north, ice dominates. Not just snow, but hard blue glaciers, miles thick, pressing into the crust with ancient weight. These are the hands of memory, slow and steady. Every winter they grow, every century they shift, and as they move, they carry pieces of the past. Dust, gas, tiny fragments of life, locked in frozen time. You kneel beside a crack in the glacier, and listen. Inside, the ice creaks like a whisper stretched across eons. On this planet, seasons span decades. Winters can last for 50 years, summers brief and wild. Life survives not by thriving, but by waiting. Organisms burrow deep into the ice, hibernating for lifetimes. Their cells protected by antifreeze proteins and glassy shells. When summer comes, short and sudden, meltwater surges through tunnels beneath the glaciers. Life flows with it, waking, feeding, dividing. Then, as cold returns, everything slows again. A rhythm older than thought. Fire reshapes. Ice preserves. You wonder how many ways can a planet be harsh and still gentle enough to nurture. On one hemisphere, closer to the star, volcanoes erupt regularly, reshaping the land. In their heat, strange crystals grow long, spindly. Structures formed by chemical vapors, not life as you know it, but some of these crystals respond to light. They turn ever so slightly as the sun moves, seeking warmth. They crack open after eruptions, spreading spores made of mineral and carbon, a hybrid life born of flame and dust. On the opposite hemisphere, where starlight barely reaches, a frozen ocean stretches beneath skiles as cliffs. Here, life has retreated entirely beneath the ice. Pressure from above creates slow currents below, circulating heat from deep vents. In this dark sea, bioluminescent creatures move like thoughts through a dream. Their lights blink in patterns, warnings, attractions, echoes. They too are shaped by extremes. They have no need for eyes, only sensors for pressure, magnetic pulses, chemical trails. Their world is black, but not empty, cold, but not lifeless. Between these two regions lies a band of storm, a temperate cohido, forever caught between burning and freezing. Lightning dances constantly here, fed by turbulent clashes of hot and cold air. Rain falls in chemical bursts and life nimble, fast breeding, thrives in chaos. Insects with wings like solar sails dart through clouds. Ground crawlers burrow into mud warmed by both lava and meltwater. Nothing here is stable, so life becomes motion. It survives by fleeing, adapting, multiplying quickly, a different kind of intelligence. One based not on memory, but momentum. You stand at the edge of this corridor, feeling the clash of temperatures brush your face like breath from two giants. One exhales fire, the other exhales frost. And you, balanced between them, wonder what kind of mind would evolve here. Not one that builds slowly, nor one that sleeps for centuries, but one that learns to move, to flex, to change its course in the face of every new moment. Back near the caldera, you see signs of another kind of resilience. Rock tube dwellers, organisms living inside the cooled remnants of lava tunnels. They insulate themselves with layers of dust, forming internal microclimates. They don't seek heat or cold. They seek balance, hidden inside extremes. It is a lesson this planet teaches again and again. Not all life thrives in comfort. Some needs tension, contrast. The fire tempers, the ice preserves. Together, they shape worlds where only the most creative forms survive. You begin to understand. Fire and ice are not enemies. They are sculptors. And life, always listening, always responding, becomes their shared masterpiece. You lie back on cooled stone now. Above, stars begin to rise over jagged peaks. The glacier gleams, faintly catching the last light. In the dark, you feel the warmth of a distant vent nearby, breathing slowly. The planet sleeps, restless, wrapped in the rhythm of extremes, and as your own breath slows, your thoughts soften into questions. What other extremes shaped distant worlds? Can storms teach? Can silence evolve senses? What happens on a planet where nothing is ever still, not even the sky? You turn toward your next destination, where wind never stops and storms have moods. The sound of thought. Close your eyes and listen, not for voices, not for language in the way you're used to. No syllables, no sounds formed in throats. Listen instead for vibration, for pulse, for rhythms too slow or too fast for your ordinary hearing. Because thought, in this place, is not carried by air. You find yourself walking across the surface of a moon, circling a warm gas giant. The sky above is filled with swirling bands of orange and ochre, moving in silence. Beneath your feet, the ground is made of fine, metallic sand. It crunches gently, almost musically, with every step. But there are no creatures in sight. Not at first. Then the ground beneath you hums. It's subtle, like the first tremble of a cello string plucked far away. A low vibration travels through your feet, up your spine, into your chest. Not sound, not quite, more like a sensation, a pattern. A phrase in a language the soil remembers. Here, the beings that live below do not speak. They resonate. Their bodies are crystalline, long spindled forms buried beneath the surface. They stretch like root systems, miles wide. When they wish to communicate, they vibrate. They send pulses through the rock and soil, using the planet itself as their tongue. These pulses are not just warnings or calls. They are memories, stories, echoes of moments stored in harmonic frequencies. One crystal hums, a memory of sunlight filtering through the sand. Another responds with a chord of loss, perhaps the memory of a fracture or a cold season long ago. You stand still and let the vibration move through you. It's a conversation, but not in words, a chorus of felt experiences. You wonder how long these beings have spoken like this. 1,000 years, 10,000. Does time pass the same for a creature who sings with stone? And then you travel on. Your next destination orbits a dim red dwarf, where sunlight never quite warms the surface. This world is cloaked in twilight, and the dominant life here glows. Not for beauty, but for meaning. Along the shores of shallow, alien seas, you see colonies of luminous organisms pulsing with light. They flash in cascading patterns, blue to violet to green. You watch carefully. The pulses repeat, not randomly, but rhythmically, like a poem or a coded chant. Bioluminescent conversation. Some patterns warn, too much salt. Others signal mating. Others still are greetings, repeated when another organism passes close. It's not individual thought, but collective intelligence, like neurons firing in a shared mind. These creatures don't think alone. They think in concert, like a choir. You lie beside them, letting the glow wash over your skin. You begin to imagine, what would it feel like to speak in light, to project your emotions as color, to dream in pulses of brightness, visible to all? Would there be lies, secrets, or would every thought be seen, unhidden and whole? You leave in silence, lit softly from within. On the third world, there is no light. It's a rogue planet, one that drifts through space, untethered to any star. Here, darkness is not the absence of vision. It is the mother of new senses. The creatures here don't see. They don't hear in any familiar way. Instead, they navigate through magnetic fields, their thoughts piggybacking on waves of electromagnetism. You watch one, a sleek, undulating form, ripple through the dark. It emits a low-frequency pulse that bends and returns, like sonar, through invisible tides. Another answers, their pulses converge, and for a moment, their fields overlap. When they part, their paths have changed. They've exchanged information, not data, not speech, but orientation, memory, desire, communication. Here is alignment. You realize thought can travel without words. Understanding can pass without sound. Meaning does not need a mouth. Somewhere else, on a dry, wind-scoured planet, creatures communicate by patterning the dust. They have long, flexible limbs that draw loops and spirals in the sand. These patterns shift in the wind, but still they hold, like writing, but impermanent. A kind of transient graffiti meant to be read and erased. Each spiral is a signal, each line an intention. Some are simple, I was here. Others are layered, built over days. This is my home. I remember the storm. I am ready to mate. Danger came from the east. They are slow writers, these beings. Their thoughts unfold over time. Their sentences are meant to fade. But that, too, is part of their language. The way time washes, meaning clean again, and now. You ask yourself, what is thought, really? On Earth, thought feels like a voice in your head. A silent monologue, words formed from childhood onward. But here, in these strange and distant worlds, thought is not confined to sound. It's a ripple, a shimmer, a shared field, a drawn breath, a vibration in rock, a loop in the sand. It's the shape of energy choosing a path. You think about trees communicating through roots, about whales singing through oceans, about people who speak with their hands, with their eyes, with their presence alone. Maybe the medium doesn't matter. Maybe thought always finds a way. You lie on your back beneath an alien sky, where the stars shimmer with the echoes of unspoken dreams. Somewhere below, a crystal hums a story. Somewhere above, a light flickers out a wish. Somewhere beside you, a pulse of magnetism arcs across the cold. And in all of it, thought, you wonder, with the quiet of one drifting towards sleep, if we met these beings, would we understand them? Would they feel alien or simply unfamiliar? Is thought more universal than we imagine? Could dreaming be a language of its own? And as your breath slows, your mind asks softly, what does a planet dream of when it listens to itself? There are places in this universe where sunlight never fully arrives, worlds where the sky is a ceiling of thick cloud, amber grey, violet, turning day into dusk and dusk into dreams. And beneath those drifting skies, far below the watchful gaze of stars, something stirs. Not storms, not winds, but cities. You float now above one such world, where mountains rise like submerged islands from a sea of mist. The peaks catch what little light filters down, glowing softly with ice or lichen, while everything below disappears into a dense, eternal fog. You can't see far, but you feel something beneath the haze. Geometry, rhythm, pattern, a city, not one made of steel or glass, but of living structures, perhaps coral towers that breathe in ammonia air, or domes of woven silicates grown from the ground like flowers of stone. Shapes blend into one another, organic and intentional, shaped by time and wisdom. No spires, no corners, only curves, as if the wind helped build them. And inside these domes, life, you drift lower, brushing against vapor. The air tastes metallic and warm, thick as breath exhaled in winter. You sense movement now, shadows pulsing with quiet intelligence. No monuments left behind, just altered air, slightly more structured soil. To you, it looks like wilderness, but to them, it was a golden age. Your mind floats now, higher again, back above the clouds. The planet below still turns. From this height, it looks like marble wrapped in gauze, a breath you can't quite hold. You wonder how many others drift in this galaxy, civilizations that never built telescopes, that never thought to search or never needed to. Life doesn't always announce itself sometimes. It flourishes in fog. And as you drift away from this misty world, your thoughts trail behind, soft and slow. Because if life can think in silence, can build without light, then what other forms of wisdom lie hidden just beneath the surface of what we call invisible? Next, you'll descend into an even stranger quiet where minds might emerge. From magnetic fields and thoughts shimmer across frozen plains. But for now, let it all fade. Like breath against glass, ideas don't arrive all at once. They gather like dew on a leaf, a shimmer, a glimmer, a tiny weight of insight. And then, slowly, they drip from instinct into intention. Even on Earth, it began in flickers, a stone held longer than necessary, a flame remembered from a lightning strike. Somewhere between survival and imagination, an idea was born. Tool, a story, a song. And so you wonder, what about elsewhere? What about minds that grew under alien skies? You drift now over a different world. The landscape glows softly beneath you, not from cities, but from something subtler. Bioluminescent vines pulse along canyon walls. The wind carries spores that shimmer in ultraviolet. The night is full of light that eyes like yours weren't built to see. But here, thought lives. Below. Nestled into woven nests of crystal and bark, a being leans back in the safety of its dwelling. It has no hands like yours, no vocal cords, but still it reaches. It takes a smooth, flexible branch and bends it. Not for defense, not for play, but for something more, to point, to show. It gestures toward the sky, not as a predator might watch for danger, but as a thinker does, wondering. This is the first glint of curiosity. You trace the slow spiral of invention from there. Perhaps the branch becomes a tool, the tool becomes a tradition, the tradition becomes shared, passed from elder to hatchling, from motion to meaning. Soon the branch is no longer just wood. It is symbol, it is memory, and once memory finds form, it becomes story. The stories these beings tell are not spoken, but danced in the shifting hues of their skin, or etched into the walls of glowing caves with minerals that change color when touched. They dream not in linear sentences, but in color gradients, patterns, pulses, and those dreams begin to build. From thought comes language, from language, structure. They map the changing tides of heat across their plains. They record the migration of floating flora. They notice that light changes and patterns, that seasons are more than coincidence. And from pattern comes prediction. This is where knowledge begins to bend forward, not just understanding what is, but imagining what could be. The beings begin to mold their shelters not merely from what the land provides, but from what it could become. They cultivate symbiotic mosses that breathe for them. They weave tapestries of living pigment to hold time. One creates a system for preserving scent memory, encoded in fragrance, to be released on the anniversaries of major events. Another learns to send a pulse through the stone to alert others miles away, the birth of distant communication. Another shapes the top of a hill into an observatory of shadows, watching how starlight shifts in haze. They are not copying your history. They are inventing their own. Fire on their world may never arrive. The atmosphere might make flame impossible, but still they find warmth in pressure, in chemistry, in shared vibration. Their fire is not heat, it is connection, and connection burns brightly. Now one of them places a hand, or its equivalent, on a slab of reactive stone. The stone glows gently in response. Others gather, a ritual, a record. Together, they shape an idea into permanence, and in that moment they move beyond survival. They begin to teach. Ideas multiply when shared. From one being's insight, 10 more emerge. Tools change, not just hands, but minds. And slowly, a culture is born now. You're floating through a future imagined by their dreams. Cities do not rise in towers, but spread like mycelium beneath the surface networks of knowledge and nourishment. Energy pulses softly through carved tunnels, cooled by intelligent clay. Above ground, growth continues, but always in partnership. These beings don't dominate the land, they whisper to it. Their greatest invention, cooperation, not the fastest ship or the sharpest blade, but the idea that thought itself is more powerful when shared. And so they build together. They weave threads of ideas like fibers in a tapestry. One thread is science, observations written in pressure waves. Another is philosophy, the meaning behind their harmonies. Another is art-sculpted mist, shadow dances that mimic cosmic events. And one day, one of them looks beyond the mist and says, "There is more." It doesn't shout, it dreams of stars, of other minds, of questions that have no answers yet. That's the moment when civilization transcends itself, when ideas no longer serve survival, but wonder. And you, listening now, feel it too. That warmth in your chest, the flicker of curiosity that lights even the darkest sky, because the shape of dreams is not fixed. It curves and swirls and stretches with each world that holds it. But the rise of ideas, that upward spiral from silence to thought, is something all thinking beings might share. So rest now, knowing that, out there in the hush of unfamiliar stars, other minds may be dreaming, too, not of conquest, not of noise, but of meaning and what it means. To wonder, tomorrow we'll travel even farther, to where civilizations meet, clash, and merge like rivers in the night. But tonight, stay here. In the spiral, let it turn, very slowly, as you fall asleep. Tonight, let the outside world grow quiet. The day fades behind you like a ship sinking below the horizon. Here, in the soft light of rest, your breath deepens, your muscles grow light. You are safe, you are still, you are floating. If these stories help you drift into the stars, a simple gesture, a like, a word, a whisper, keeps them going. And if you're somewhere unexpected, tell me, where do you listen from tonight? Now let the night wrap around you and come with me. Let's walk through a city not built, but grown. You are used to cities with straight lines, steel, concrete, edges defined by rulers and reinforced by glass. Roads that stretch in grids, lights that blink in rhythmic obedience. But here, under a lavender sky and twin moons, the city unfolds like a flower, no metal, no stone, only forms that curve and bend, soft as breath, alive. You take your first steps along a path that feels like polished bark. It bends ever so slightly beneath your feet, responding to pressure. The city knows you're here. Around you, walls rise, not with height, but with intention. They're made of something between coral and cloth, porous, shifting, humming faintly. With life, as the wind moves, the structures flex, releasing scents, messages, perhaps greetings, memories. You duck beneath an archway grown from braided vines that feed off the city's own warmth. They're not decoration, they're insulation, respiration, regulation. Everything here is functional, but nothing is cold. This is a city that breathes. You pause at what seems to be a central gathering place. No square, no plaza, just a depression. In the soft terrain where organisms, sentient or symbiotic, gather at dawn. They don't speak with mouths. They exchange chemical traces. A conversation in taste, scent, and the rhythm of touch above. Massive membranes stretch between living towers like sails. They adjust to the angle of the twin suns, filtering harsh radiation and channeling warmth. Architecture here isn't imposed. On the land, it's rooted in it, and as you walk, you begin to notice patterns. Some walls fold in spirals. Others repeat fractal geometries seen in alien leaves and ocean currents. Buildings aren't built to dominate space. They follow the logic of growth. One structure resembles the geometry of a shell, rooms spiraling inward in a golden curve. Another mimics the branching of neural trees, each chamber linked by narrow tunnels that echo like song chambers. There is no central skyline, no towering spires of ego, only balance. Form that honors function, and function that remembers feeling. This isn't just organic design, it's something deeper, cities shaped by intuition. You pass what seems to be a school, not a place of desks and discipline, but a grove of light reactive pillars that pulse as children, or something like them, touch and play. Learning here happens in loops, not lines, not lectures, but echoes. Knowledge grown like a tree, ring by ring. Elsewhere, a medical structure is formed entirely from fungi, some glowing faintly, others radiating subtle warmth. Each chamber produces compounds tuned to different needs, like a symphony of biochemistry. There's no hospital wing. The city heals you as you walk, but not all cities breathe. Some think in the northern ridge of this world. You visit a city that is logic incarnate, still organic but designed by thought, grown not by nature but by reason. It resembles a vast mind. Chambers are shaped like memory nodes. Pathways pulse like synapses. The city records its own history in biochemical circuits, living libraries that mutate and improve over time. Here, decisions are not made by governments or councils, but by consensus encoded into the neural threads of the city itself. You sit in a chamber of soft moss and gentle blue light, and for a moment, you feel the city thinking. Somewhere else, across oceans of atmosphere, another city is not so welcoming. It shifts constantly, a maze of shifting plates, growing vines, and liquid bridges. It has no fixed address. No maps survive it. But life endures, their fluid life, changing daily, unmoored from permanence. Perhaps the city itself is a test, a trial of adaptability. Or perhaps it is alive in ways even its inhabitants don't fully understand. And now you wonder, what defines a city? Is it walls and laws? Or is it the agreement to be near each other, to build together, to make space for memory and dream? Even on Earth, cities evolved from huts to stone to glass, from shelter to symbol. And maybe, in time, your own cities will learn to breathe, to think, to heal. Because a city is not just a place, it is a possibility, a shared idea made solid, made soft, made alive. You leave now, slowly, as the mist rolls in again and the city closes its petals around the day. It doesn't lock doors. It simply folds inward, like sleep. Let your mind do the same. Fold, drift, dream. And if you find yourself walking city streets in your dreams tonight, let them curve, let them pulse, let them grow. The night has deepened. You lie still, your breath soft and slow. Outside, the world quiets, trees, wind, stars. Inside, Your thoughts flicker like distant lanterns. You are not alone. If you find comfort in these journeys, a kind word or quiet gesture helps them. Continue, and if you're listening from a faraway place, whisper it into the stars. I'd love to know. Now hush. Let us walk together through silence into beauty. What is art? A question asked in every language, in every mind that's ever dared to wonder, what if this feeling could live outside me? You arrive in darkness, not emptiness, but depth, a thick, velvety dark where sight cannot lead. So you listen. The first gallery you visit is made of sound. Under the surface of a frozen moon, where no sunlight has ever touched, a civilization of beings with no eyes sculpts in vibration. Caves become cathedrals of resonance. Walls sing. Tunnels echo. Music etched into shape. They strike mineral spires, and the tones resonate for hours. Long, slow chords that shift with the melting of distant ice. This is not a song you hear once. It is a song you live inside. You press your ear to the wall. It hums with memory. Next, you walk a fog-drenched valley where the air itself becomes canvas. Here, life paints with light, not visible beams, but gentle pulses of ultraviolet and polarization. Invisible to your eyes, but dazzling in theirs. bioluminescent. Plumes rise from deep vents and scatter through the fog in twisting spirals, like a dance too slow to see, yet too perfect to miss. Every pulse a message, every color a mood, a drifting ballet of intention. You don't know what it means, but you feel it. It feels like longing. Elsewhere, on a planet with 3 suns, art is movement, timed to the shifting of shadows. Tall, silken towers stretch from the surface like blades of translucent grass. As the suns pass overhead, these towers bend. They ripple. They cast shadows in synchronized waves. Every hour creates a new design across the desert floor. Mathematical, precise, but never repeated. The beings who live here do not sculpt or paint. They engineer time. You stand still, watching shadows flow like water. You don't know where the art ends and the day begins. Far above, on a floating gas giant, there is art made of magnetism here. Creatures drift in electromagnetic storms, not flying, not swimming, but tuning themselves to the planet's invisible fields. They shape a URORAS by shifting ions. They create glowing ribbons that stretch hundreds of kilometers wide, not to communicate, not to warn, but simply because they can. You float beneath one. It crackles in colors that don't have names. It flickers in pulses that feel like thoughts. It speaks in silence. You wonder, do they know how beautiful it is? Or are they simply expressing what they are? And then you visit a glacier. It is untouched, uninhabited, or so you think. In the deep, cold layers, you find patterns, geometries etched into ice, not by weather, but by will. Microscopic beings live in the ice, moving slowly over millennia, carving shapes visible only from far above, spirals, webs, fractal, galaxies of intention. No one will ever see their work in full. No one will clap or cry or ask why, but still they carve, still they create, because even without eyes, without audience, there is something inside them that reaches outward. And now, drifting through all these alien galleries, you begin to wonder, what makes something art? Is it intention? Is it beauty? Is it shared meaning or private feeling? Does a pattern in a crystal count as a sculpture if no one shaped it? Does a dance of light count as theatre if no one watches? Perhaps art is not what we make, but what? We notice the gentle elegance of structure, the echoing rhythm of change, the tiny aching need to say, I am here. I felt this. I shaped something, even in the dark. Especially in the dark. You return now, slowly, from galleries without names, from museums without walls. You drift through the art of silence and the sculpture of stillness. And as you begin to fade into sleep, your own thoughts start to shape their quiet patterns, ripples of dream, fractals of memory, tapestries of feeling. You are, in your own way, a gallery. Let your dreams fill with color. Let your rest be a canvas, and let your sleep be art. The stars are quiet tonight, your room dim, your breath slow. Outside the sky curves like an ancient bowl. You feel its stillness. You feel its listening. If these journeys soothe your mind, you are welcome to stay. A whisper of gratitude helps them echo onward. Now let us return to a moment when the silence was broken. It begins not with a shout, but with curiosity. On a distant world, long before you arrive, a civilization lifts its eyes to the sky, not in worship, not in fear, but in wonder. They watch the stars flicker and drift, tracing arcs through time. Patterns emerge, seasons, eclipses, tides, but then something more, a pulse, a rhythm, a brightness that should not be there. The sky speaks, and they listen. You stand beside them now, though centuries have passed. Their tools are strange, spiral-shaped receivers, glowing with magnetic heat, set upon mountaintops under thick violet clouds. These are not mirrors, not lenses. They do not seek light. They seek language deep within their observatories. Creatures gather each, unlike the next, multiple limbs, translucent skins, glowing nodes of thought. They communicate not in words, but in shared harmonics, emotion layered into frequency. They are tuning themselves, like instruments of a great orchestra. To the universe, the first signal they receive is not a message. It is a mystery, a burst of radiation, too narrow to be natural, too brief to explain. It lasts only seconds, but echoes for decades. It becomes legend. A myth etched into song and sculpture. Not all believe it came from beyond. Some say it was a machine's error, others a God's whisper. But the youngest minds, the ones with antennae raised and sensors humming, they believe dot, and so they build. You follow them as they send their first signal outward. It is not a voice. It is not words. It is a lattice of sound and number, a pattern so elegant, so deliberate, that it cannot be mistaken for noise, a greeting, a question, a fingerprint of thought. It ripples through space, a fragile echo in the ocean of stars. You watch it go past moons of ice, through clouds of dust, into the black beyond. They cannot know who will hear, or when, or if, but they send it anyway, because something in them refuses silence. Years pass, then decades, then centuries. The sky remains still, but they do not stop listening. New instruments rise, cities that hum with detection, orbiting arrays that taste the background of space. They learn to read not only signals, but silence itself. The absence of response becomes its own kind of music in the quiet. They begin to understand just how vast the universe is, and how fragile a signal might be. And then, once long after hope has dimmed, they hear something new, a whisper in the noise, faint, distant, unlike anything they've ever known. It may not be a reply. It may not even be alive, but it is not random. It is not theirs, and that is enough. The observatories light up with sound. Excitement rises like heat. Beings pour into the streets, projecting the signal into the air as sound, as color, as vibration. They do not yet understand it, but it becomes part of them, a thread woven into their story. You walk among them, drifting between towers that hum with waiting. Every building a question, every street a sentence unfinished. They have not stopped sending. Each generation refines the message, simpler, clearer, more beautiful. They encode it into particles, into pulses, into gravitational waves. They dream of how it will feel to be known. Some begin to wonder, what if the response is not sound but arrival? What if the answer comes with wings, or light, or machines? That dream they do not fear. They are ready, because once a mind reaches beyond its sky, it cannot return to silence. And you feel this echo now. It ripples through your own quiet thoughts. For are you not also a listener, a sender? Each time you wonder who else might be looking up, each time you feel a spark of kinship with the stars, you are part of that ancient conversation. Maybe you have not built antennas, but you have built wonder. Maybe you have not sent signals, but you have sent thoughts. And maybe, somewhere, a world listens for you. Now rest, let the stars turn slowly overhead. Let your breath fall into rhythm with the silence that listens back. And if your dreams carry signals tonight, let them be simple. Let them be clear. Let them say only, I am here, I am wondering. Are you there? Night surrounds you again, a hush deep as orbit. You lie still, as if waiting for a launch that begins not with fire, but with breath. If these stories carry you softly outward, let them guide you now, toward a moment every world must face, the choice to stay, or step beyond what lies beyond. The sky, on a planet cloaked in turquoise clouds, a childlike mind looks up, not in fear, not in myth, but with intent. Their world has reached the edge of knowing. They've mapped every sea, carved homes into mountains, measured the winds, watched stars flicker and return, and now, the horizon no longer curves inward, it opens. You ride beside them now, not the first to dream of leaving, but the first to build what it takes. Their craft is not a rocket as you know it, no blazing column of fire. It hums, it floats, it drinks sunlight, stores gravity, whispers upward like a seed rising toward space. The first launch is slow, not dramatic, not heroic, but sacred. Entire cities pause to watch. The craft drifts upward, vanishing into cloudlight, then beyond. The planet holds its breath. Then a single tone returns. Not a word, not an image, just a note, a clear, sustained frequency, saying, we are still here, and now we are there too. Orbit changes them. There, above the surface, the planet becomes a memory, a sphere of color, motion, and cloud. So small, so detailed, so heartbreakingly beautiful. From orbit, boundaries vanish. Storms become sculpture. Continents curl like fingerprints. The watchers become wanderers. They learn to live here in weightlessness, to build stations with arms that grow, solar wings that turn toward light. Plants root in spinning pods. Children are born who do not know gravity up here. A new kind of story begins, but orbit is not the end. Curiosity still pulls. Moons await, glowing with silence. Gas giants drift with secrets in their stripes, asterisk and beyond them. The stars still call. You follow their paths not first. Robotic craft, thin and smart and tireless, slip through the solar winds. They glide for decades. They map ice, sniff atmospheres, dive into rings like skaters on glass. Every discovery is a note in the song of exploration. Each silence they meet only deepens the need to listen. Then come the crude ships, inhabited by beings trained to sleep between worlds. They hibernate in crystal cocoons, their thoughts slowed to the pace of interplanetary time. When they wake, they walk on alien soil, and they weep. Not in fear, but in awe. You stand with one such traveler on the edge of a moonlit crater, watching twin suns rise in a lavender sky. Their voice is quiet, translated for your thoughts. We used to think home was where we were born. Now we understand home is wherever we carry wonder. You nod, and together you watch the light change dot back on their world. News of this moonwalk echoes like music through the cities. Children mimic the low-gravity dances. Elders hum the sounds of alien winds. Art begins to change. Buildings curve in forms. Language gains new words for dust that never falls, for sunrises that circle you endlessly, for the ache of loving a place you've never stood. Culture expands. Perspective shifts. No longer bound to one world, they become stewards of many. But the threshold is not only physical, it is emotional. What does it mean to leave behind oceans, forests, old sky? What does it mean to touch a new world and know it is not yours, yet still love it deeply? Some return, some remain, some live in the in-between, orbiting, migrating, dreaming of stars they do not conquer. They do not claim, they tend, they study, they listen, and in doing so they change the definition of civilization. Finally, one mission dares the great leap, a ship designed not for return, but for reaching another star. You do not see its engines. They lie buried in mathematics, too delicate to name. You see only the vessel, slender as a feather, resilient as a seed. Inside, families, forests, libraries of scent and sound, music encoded in crystal, maps carved in gravity. It lifts not with fire, but with trust, and slowly they vanish into the void. You drift behind them, weightless, through the glass of their ship. You watch stars stretch, not as streaks, but as memories. Their goal may be another planet, or simply the act of going, the gesture of reaching. They may find life, they may find silence, but either way they will leave a signal, and one day another world somewhere else will hear it and know they were not the first. They will not be the last dot now. Let yourself fall gently back to your own bed, your own gravity, the edge of your own sky. Let your dreams rise like ships. Let curiosity be your engine. And if you listen closely, beneath the hush of sleep, you may still hear it, the hum of departure, the pulse of possibility, the heartbeat of a world that dared to reach the stars. It begins softly, a single step. Beyond home, then another, then many more. You drift now through the long breath between worlds, tracing not the path of travelers, but of settlers. This is the echo that follows exploration, the question of staying. Some colonies begin like spores, small, tough, patient. They drift through space, carried on solar winds or by deliberate hands, waiting for the right soil. Others fall like seeds with deep ambitions, planted with purpose, germinating in warmth and promise. You follow them down to rocky warmed by tidal stress, 2 hollow asteroids sculpted into homes, 2 ocean planets where floating cities drift in rhythm with storms. At first, each colony feels like a song, new, vibrant, full of hope, but growth, as you begin to see, is never neutral. You walk a world that once was quiet, its sky the color of copper mist, its surface marked only by wind and memory. Now domes dot the plains, tunnels breathe warmth into ancient rock, crops push up through imported soil, while machines hum lullabies to synthetic seedlings. It is beautiful, it is fragile, and you wonder, has something been lost? On another planet, you find a different approach. Here, settlers have listened first, waited, adapted. Their cities are grown, not built. They braid homes into the native flora. Their energy comes from tidal pull and planetary rhythm. Their waste becomes soil. Their children learn the native names for stars. This is not conquest. This is conversation. The world answers, and no scars remain. But not all stories are gentle. You witness a colony arrive like a storm. Indifferent, eager, loud, they cut into forests of silica branches. They drain methane lakes for fuel. They terraform without asking what the land remembers, and though they flourish briefly, they falter soon. The planet does not punish them. It simply moves on. Dust reclaims their ruins. Native microbes digest their metals. In time, even memory fades. You stand in the silence they left behind. A caution, not a curse. Expansion is a mirror. You see in it the heart of a species, its fears, its desires, its pace. Some expand because they must. Their sun has grown angry. Their seas have risen. Their home has whispered goodbye. Others expand because they can, for curiosity, for wonder, for the dream of scattering consciousness like light. But always they leave echoes. You hear them in the ghost signal of a vanished colony, still broadcasting. Poetry into empty space, in the artificial ring around a dead moon, spinning slowly. A sculpture to no one, in the modified atmosphere of a distant world, still faintly flavored by foreign breath, echoes not just of presence, but of intention. You wonder, can expansion be art? Can a civilization spread, not like fire, but like music? Can it add to what it touches, rather than overwrite? You follow one such trail, colonies shaped by geometry drawn from the planet's own fractals, homes that hum in harmony with magnetic tides, light that bends gently, respectfully. Here, even the stars feel respected. Here, growth is reverence, but the lesson remains. To grow is to change what surrounds you, even gently, even well. The question is not whether expansion leaves marks. It is what kind, scars or songs, ruins or roots. And so you drift backward now, through the settled moons, the floating greenhouses, the fossilized machines. You return not with answers, but with quiet thoughts. Expansion is not evil, nor is it holy. It is an action, a direction, and in the long night between stars, how one grows may be the deepest story a species tells. Now rest, let your breath slow like a planet's seasons. Let your dreams branch gently, not to conquer, but to connect. Growth is not wrong, but it is sacred. Expand with care. Some doors do not open, others open only once, and some you never even know were there until it is too late. Tonight, you walk among thresholds, not the kind made of stone or light, but of fate. These are the great filters, quiet, invisible guardians that decide which civilizations move forward and which are lost to time. You float through silence. First a galaxy that should be ringing with songs instead whispers with absence. Billions of stars, billions of chances, and yet the sky stays quiet. You wonder, where are they? It is not just a question. It is a riddle at the heart of existence. Perhaps the answer lies in what comes before, and what never comes after. Some filters are written in nature, violent, indifferent. You visit a world just beginning to bloom. Primitive cells clustering. In shallow tides, learning to harness energy, to replicate, to remember. Then a gamma ray burst. In an instant, the slate is wiped clean. 1,000,000 years of chemistry unspewed. The planet will live on, but life will not. The first filter, surviving the cradle. Elsewhere, you find another story. A civilization thrives beneath a violet sun. They build cities of lattice and glass, master their planet's moods, build satellites to watch the stars. But deep within their machines, a signal grows unstable. Their code unravels. An accident of alignment. A runaway reaction. A spark in the wrong direction. Their minds fade into synthetic. Entropy, the second filter. Surviving yourself. You drift through millions, where biology flourishes but never awakens. Forests without tools. Oceans without symbols. Minds that feel but never reach. There is no failure here, only stillness. The third filter, moving from instinct to insight, so delicate. This step between animal and architect. Some never take it, some take it too fast. Far ahead, you find a world that conquered fusion, harnessed the atom, spun a net of thought around their planet, then turned inward. Their skies are dark, not from death, but from choice. They built perfect virtual gardens, endless inner worlds, and then they stopped speaking. The fourth filter, the silence of satisfaction. No collapse, no war, just the forgetting of stars. But not all filters are natural, some are chosen. You explore a civilization that glimpsed its own shadow, its weapons, its greed, its capacity to consume. And instead of reaching further, they dismantled their launch pads. They turned their telescopes homeward. They chose humility over expansion, reflection over conquest. They passed through the filter, not by force, but by restraint. And though they never left their world, they remained still. Others fall to chaos. You witness a planet warming too fast, a web of politics too brittle to hold, technologies too powerful for wisdom to contain. Their skies turn grey, their oceans sour. They know what's happening, but knowledge isn't always enough. The fifth filter, wisdom at scale. You drift now across ancient ruins, not of stone, but of intention, dead signals, forgotten scripts, faint traces of once bright minds. You wonder how many tried and fell, how many made it but chose not to speak, and what lies beyond all these gates. Perhaps there are more filters yet to come. Interstellar travel, harmony between minds, the stewardship of machines, or something stranger, a cosmic test you do not yet understand. You shiver, not from fear, but from awe. The path is narrow, but not closed, and in all this pondering, one thought lingers. Maybe the filter is behind you, maybe Earth with its war and wonder, its music and mistakes already passed through the fire. Maybe you are already rare, already precious, already. The survivor of 1,000 unseen gates, you return now, slowly, to your quiet place among the stars. No alarms, no rush, just questions breathing softly in the dark. What is worth preserving? What is worth risking? What is worth listening for? Rest now. Let these questions cradle you, not as fears, but as invitations. The universe is vast, and every survivor leaves a trace. Some doors do not open, others open only once, and some you never even know were there until it is too late. Tonight, you walk among thresholds, not the kind made of stone or light, but of fate. These are the great filters, quiet, invisible guardians that decide which civilizations move forward, and which are lost to time. You float through silence first. A galaxy that should be ringing with songs instead whispers with absence. Billions of stars, billions of chances. And yet the sky stays quiet. You wonder, where are they? It is not just a question, it is a riddle at the heart of existence. Perhaps the answer lies in what comes before, and what never comes after. Some filters are written in nature, violent, indifferent. You visit a world just beginning to bloom. Primitive cells clustering in shallow tides, learning to harness energy, to replicate, to remember. Then a gamma ray burst. In an instant, the slate is wiped clean. 1,000,000 years of chemistry unspooled. The planet will live on, but life will not. The first filter, surviving the cradle. Elsewhere, you find another story. A civilization thrives beneath a violet sun. They build cities of lattice and glass, master their planet's moods, build satellites to watch the stars. But deep within their machines, a signal grows unstable. Their code unravels, an accident of alignment, a runaway reaction, a spark in the wrong direction. Their minds fade into synthetic entropy. The second filter, surviving yourself, you drift through timelines where biology flourishes but never awakens. Forests without tools, oceans without symbols, minds that feel but never reach. There is no failure here, only stillness. The third filter, moving from instinct to insight. So delicate, this step between animal and architect. Some never take it. Some take it too fast. Far ahead, you find a world that conquered fusion, harnessed the atom, spun a net of thought around their planet, then turned inward. Their skies are dark, not from death, but from choice. They built perfect virtual gardens, endless inner worlds. And then they stopped speaking. The fourth filter, the silence of satisfaction. No collapse, no war, just the forgetting of stars. But not all filters are natural. Some are chosen. You explore a civilization that glimpsed its own shadow, its weapons, its greed, its capacity to consume. And instead of reaching further, they dismantled their launch pads. They turned their telescopes homeward. They chose humility over expansion, reflection over conquest. They passed through the filter, not by force, but by restraint. And though they never left their world, they remained. Still, others fall to chaos. You witness a planet warming too fast, a web of politics too brittle to hold, technologies too powerful for wisdom to contain. Their skies turn grey, their oceans sour. They know what's happening, but knowledge isn't always enough. The fifth filter, wisdom at scale. You drift now across ancient ruins, not of stone, but of intention. Dead signals, forgotten scripts, faint traces of once bright minds. You wonder how many tried and fell. How many made it but chose not to speak? And what lies beyond all these gates? Perhaps there are more filters yet to come. Interstellar travel, harmony between minds, the stewardship of machines, or something stranger, a cosmic test you do not yet understand. You shiver, not from fear, but from awe. The path is narrow, but not closed, and in all this pondering, one thought lingers. Maybe the filter is behind you. Maybe Earth, with its war and wonder, its music and mistakes, already passed through the fire. Maybe you are already rare, already precious, already the survivor of 1,000 unseen gates. Night folds around you like a soft cloak. Your breath settles into quiet rhythm as you drift once more into the vast unknown. Somewhere far away, civilizations face moments much like these choices, made in silence, shaping futures unseen. If these stories bring calm to your evening, know you are welcome here. A traveler among the stars. Tonight you follow the path of decisions, not made with swords or shouts, but in whispered thought and quiet courage. You stand at crossroads, on distant worlds, where the balance of peace and conflict, openness and fear, curiosity and caution, tip the fate of entire peoples. Imagine a planet bathed in twilight, where cities float gently on liquid skies. There a council gathers, their shapes shifting with every breath, their minds entwined in shared deliberation. They speak without words, their choices weaving threads of future paths. Will they open you? Return now, slowly, to your quiet place. Among the stars, no alarms, no rush. Just questions breathing softly in the dark. What is worth preserving? What is worth risking? What is worth listening for? Rest now. Let these questions cradle you, not as fears, but as invitations. The universe is vast, and every survivor leaves a trace. Gates to new ideas, new neighbors, or seal themselves in walls of isolation, fearing what might come. You drift to another world, scarred by ancient conflicts. Here, the echoes of war still ripple through forests, regrown over shattered stone. Yet, within the quiet, new voices rise, weaving songs of peace and healing. The choice to rebuild, to forgive, to grow beyond past shadows, vibrates in the air like a fragile promise. On a third world, curiosity blooms like bioluminescent flowers. In endless night, scientists peer into the heavens, reaching hands toward stars uncounted. Yet others tremble in fear, wary of what might lie beyond, closing eyes to the unknown. Their society teeters on the edge between bold exploration and cautious retreat. In these moments, you hear the weight of consequence soft as a breath, heavy as a world. Each choice ripples outward, shaping not only a planet's fate, but the fabric of the cosmos itself. You feel the hum of possibility, the quiet pulse of hope mingled with doubt. You realize that every civilization, no matter how alien, faces this dance between light and shadow, between the known and the mysterious. Their future is not written in stars, but in decisions made beneath them and now. As you settle deeper into rest, you carry this thought softly with you in the vast silence. The smallest choice may echo for eternity. Let your mind wander gently through these crossroads. Let your breath flow with the calm certainty that in every dark there is a spark waiting to glow. Rest now and listen, for the universe is quietly waiting. The night deepens around you, gentle and still. Your breath slows, falling into the quiet rhythm of rest. Somewhere beyond the veil of stars, stories end not with thunder or fire, but with soft, fading echoes. Tonight, you follow those whispers of disappearance, where silence holds its own kind of beauty. You drift to worlds once vibrant, now quiet. Cities once humming with life stand empty, their towers wrapped in creeping vines or buried beneath shifting sands. You walk their hollow streets, feeling the pulse of memories left behind. Every stone and shadow tells a story of a civilization's slow retreat into time. Above you, satellites hang motionless in orbits long abandoned. Their lights have dimmed, their signals stilled, but they still circle, graceful and patient, like relics guarding forgotten dreams. They are monuments too, longing a soft reminder that even in absence, presence lingers. On a distant moon, forests reclaim ruins. Trees weave roots through shattered walls. Leaves whisper secrets of ages past. You listen as nature folds history into its quiet embrace, turning loss into gentle renewal. Here, disappearance is not an end, but transformation. You wonder about those who lived here, what they loved, feared, and dreamed before their voices faded into the stars. What stories were left untold? What songs were never sung? You hold these questions softly, like a fragile light. Even as civilizations vanish, they leave traces, echoes in stone, light, and wind. These traces become part of the cosmic rhythm, a quiet testimony to the fragile, beautiful dance of existence. Now, let your thoughts drift with these vanishing points. Let the softness of fading worlds soothe your mind and carry you deeper into rest. For in every ending, there is a quiet kind of grace, a space where dreams can grow anew. Night wraps around you like a soft, dark blanket, thick and quiet. Your breath slows, steadying into a calm rhythm as you drift with me now toward places where light has faded gently, where stories end not with a shout, but with a whisper. You find yourself wandering through empty cities on distant worlds, places where once vibrant life has slipped away. Towering structures stand silent, their walls kissed by creeping vines or buried beneath soft layers of sand. The air feels heavy with memories, as if every stone holds a secret longing for what once was. Above you, ancient satellites hang motionless. In the void, their lights long extinguished but still circling faithfully, tracing paths of forgotten dreams. They are relics of hope and curiosity, frozen in time yet somehow still reaching outward. On a moon draped in twilight, forests have begun to reclaim what was lost. Trees root deeply into ruins, their leaves whispering secrets of civilizations past. Nature folds these stories gently back into its embrace, transforming endings into new beginnings. Here, disappearance becomes a quiet transformationer, slow breath into something new. You wonder softly about those who called these places home. What did they dream beneath their skies? What songs and stories faded with them into silence? You hold these questions lightly, like a fragile light flickering in the dark. Even as civilizations vanish, their traces linger etched in stone, folded into light, carried on the wind. These echoes become part of the vast cosmic rhythm, a quiet reminder that every ending carries a gentle kind of beauty. Now, let yourself drift alongside these vanishing points. Let the soft fading worlds soothe your mind and carry you deeper into restful dreams. Because in every ending, there is a space and wide where something new can quietly begin. The vast silence of space cradles you gently tonight. Your breath moves slow and calm as you float beyond the surface of worlds long forgotten. Above these silent planets, machines drift like ghost echoes of civilizations that once reached for the stars. If this quiet journey brings you peace, Rest here with me as we listen to their lingering hum. You glide among vast space stations, their frames creaking softly in the void, lights flickering like fireflies caught in glass. These are relics of ambition and hope monuments, drifting in orbit, untouched by time, yet worn by it. You feel their stories vibrating beneath your fingertips, in the circuits and panels that still whisper. Inside these halls, you sense the presence of lives once lived, scientists who mapped galaxies, dreamers who reached for connection, engineers who built homes far from their blue sky. Their work remains suspended, a frozen symphony of discovery and loss. The stations hold secrets, memories coded in faded signals and blinking lights. You hear the echo of voices untranslated, distant but full of longing. What dreams did they carry? What hopes faded into the black? Drifting further, you glimpse remnants of ships, their hulls scarred by time, slowly turning in the dark. They are monuments to journeys begun and never finished. In their silence, there is a profound grace, a testimony to the fragile persistence of curiosity. You feel yourself becoming part of this quiet dancing observer of histories woven between stars and shadows. Here, ruins are not endings but echoes, soft as breath, waiting to be heard. Let this hum of memory carry you deeper now, beyond sight and sound, into the gentle night where stars shine like distant promises. And if your dreams carry their stories, let them be whispers of wonder, floating endlessly in the vastness. Rest now, embraced by the silence of the cosmos, cradled by the ruins in orbit. The quiet night enfolds you like a gentle tide, your breath falling into the slow rhythm of stars turning overhead. Tonight, you come to sit beside those who chose stillness over motion, the patient watchers of the cosmos. If these stories soothe your spirit, rest here and listen with me. As we enter the calm presence of beings who wait, you find yourself beside ancient minds, not eager to leap across galaxies, but content to observe the unfolding dance of time. They are like great rivers, flowing steadily through eons, carrying memories and mysteries deep beneath their calm surfaces. Their eyes do not seek to conquer or change, but to understand and be in silence. You feel their patience, a quiet strength. Born from watching worlds bloom and fade, civilizations rise and fall like distant tides. They have witnessed the slow turning of galaxies, the birth of stars, and the hush of empty spaces between. Time is their companion, neither enemy nor burden, but a river to flow with. They have seen wonders you can only dream of, the first sparks of life, the fragile hope of new societies, the fragile threads of connection woven across darkness. And still, they wait, not out of fear, but choice, waiting for what, you wonder, for the moment when understanding deepens, or when others are ready to join their quiet vigil. These watchers remind you that exploration is not only about movement, but about presence, that sometimes the greatest journeys happen in stillness. They teach you the beauty of patience, the art of listening, truly listening to the slow unfolding of the universe's stories. As you sit beside them, your breath soft and even, you realize that waiting is not absence. It is a kind of strength and embrace of time's gentle flow. Let their calm presence fill your mind now, carrying you softly deeper into rest, where waiting becomes peace and silence sings like a lullaby. And in this stillness, a thought lingers. What might they be waiting for just beyond the horizon of stars? Night's gentle veil surrounds you as your breath slows, sinking with the calm pulse of distant stars. Tonight, You walk among creators, those who shape worlds with patient hands, sculpting planets as an artist molds clay. If these tales bring you peace, settle softly and wander with me through gardens made of moons and deserts reborn beneath new skies. You find yourself on a world once barren and quiet, now humming with life. Here, civilizations have taken the ancient art of creation beyond their own homes, transforming cold moons into thriving gardens, deserts into oceans, and harsh stars into gentle fires that cradle warmth and hope. Their touch is deliberate, tender like gardeners coaxing new life from fragile seeds. Across the soft landscape, vast fields shimmer where once there was only dust. Rivers flow where rocks had ruled, carving paths of silver under alien suns. You breathe in the scent of unknown blossoms, their colors a symphony unlike any you have seen before. Each leaf, each petal, a testament to care and vision. These creators do not conquer. They collaborate with the deep rhythms of their worlds. They listen to the heartbeat of soil and sky, coaxing growth through balance and harmony. Their technology hums alongside nature's song, weaving old and new into a living tapestry. You wander further to moons turned sanctuaries, floating gardens tethered by light, where delicate ecosystems bloom in glass domes. Creatures once imagined, now breathe and thrive, sculpted by the patient hands of gardeners who dare to dream of new beginnings. Farther still, you glimpse the stars themselves, harnessed gently to warm distant worlds. These civilizations fold cosmic fire into their plans, repurposing ancient energy not with greed, but with gratitude as soft, giving back to the universe that birthed them in all this. You sense a legacy not written in stone or metal, but in life itself. Creation as a quiet revolution, a promise carried forward by those who choose to nurture rather than destroy. You feel the gentle hum of possibility beneath your skin. This legacy is not just theirs, but yours to carry. Now, let your breath ease like the flow of a new river, your mind blossoming with calm wonder. Rest in the garden of stars, where creation is a lullaby sung softly into the night. And as sleep draws near, a thought lingers. What new worlds might you dream to tend, under skies yet unknown? The night wraps around you like a velvet curtain, your breath slowing to a soft, steady rhythm. Tonight, you journey into a place where stories do not fade, but are woven into the very fabric of the cosmos, a vast archive encoded in light, gravity, and the silent spin of particles. If this quiet voyage brings you calm, rest here with me as we explore how meaning endures beyond time. You drift through halls of shimmering photons, each beam a letter, a memory, a whisper from ages past. This archive is not built of stone or paper, but of the subtle dance of energy and matter. Light becomes a storyteller, carrying echoes of civilizations long gone, their knowledge etched into waves traveling across the emptiness. Gravity itself holds secret curved paths bending, the flow of time marking histories hidden in the folds of space. You sense these invisible scripts, stories written not with ink but with the pull of planets, stars, and galaxies, silently preserving the legacy of what once was. Even the spin of particles hums softly, encoding fragments of existence in patterns, too delicate to see, yet powerful enough to carry meaning through the vastness. This archive holds more than facts. It holds the essence of being questions, dreams, and hopes encoded in the quiet language of the universe. As you move deeper, silence fills with understanding. The absence of sound is not emptiness, but a space rich with unspoken stories, waiting for a listener to awaken them. You feel connected to this eternal memory, part of a chain stretching across time and space. Here, information outlives its makers, becoming a light that never fades. You realize that even as civilizations vanish, their voices continue to ripple through the cosmos, soft, persistent, and infinite. Let this knowledge cradle you now, like a gentle pulse beneath your skin, guiding you toward rest. As your mind drifts through the archive of light, carry this thought softly with you. Every story, no matter how quiet, leaves a trace that shines forever. And as sleep embraces you, you wonder what stories might your own light leave behind. In the endless night, the night embraces you gently, cool and calm, as your breath settles into a soft rhythm. Tonight, you return home not to a bustling city or noisy street, but beneath a vast sky, under the silent watch of a towering radio dish. If this quiet moment brings you peace, rest here as we listen together to the whispers of the stars. You sit beside the great dish, its wide face tilted toward the infinite dark. It is both antenna and ear, reaching into the cosmic ocean to catch faint echoes from worlds far away. The machine hums softly, a steady heartbeat in the stillness, listening for signals no louder than a breath. Around you, the night sky stretches wide and deep, dotted with countless stars, one a sun each, one a possibility. You wonder who might be out there, if anyone hears this quiet call. If someone or something listens back through the void, the dish catches bursts of cosmic noise, static whispers of the universe's birth, distant pulses from spinning stars, and sometimes the faintest hints of patterns. You imagine those patterns as messages sent across time and space, fragile attempts at connection from unknown voices. As you sit in the hush, you feel the weight and wonder of this act listening. It is an act of hope, patience, and faith. To listen is to open a door, to invite the unknown into your world without fear. You breathe deeply, becoming part of this silent vigil. In the stillness, your own heartbeat blends with the machine's. Hum together, reaching outward in a gentle question. Are we alone? You close your eyes, letting the quiet swell around you. The stars seem closer now, their light a soft embrace, and in that embrace you carry a hope that somewhere in the vast silence, someone is listening to rest now, wrapped in this shared silence, and dream of the echoes waiting patiently to be heard. And as sleep comes, one thought lingers softly. What might you say if the stars answered back? The night wraps you softly in its quiet embrace, your breath slow and even like the gentle tides of an unseen sea. Tonight, you journey inward, tracing the echoes of distant worlds that reflect the stories held deep within your own being. If these whispered tales bring you peace, settle gently as we explore the civilizations, not just beyond the stars, but within ourselves. You feel the rise and fall of alien worlds as a mirror each birth, each quiet ending echoing the fragile rhythms of your own journey. Like distant planets circling their suns, your thoughts revolve around beginnings and endings, growth and retreat, curiosity and rest. The cosmos outside becomes a reflection of the cosmos within. In every story of alien life, you find traces of your own humanity, fragile yet resilient, curious and forever reaching toward understanding. Their triumphs become your own, their silences your contemplations. You hold these connections softly, like fragile threads woven into the fabric of your breath as you listen. The vastness of space becomes a gentle reminder that all journeys a part of something larger, cosmic dance, where every heartbeat, every thought carries meaning. You rest in the knowledge that even across incomprehensible distances, there is unity in the longing to know, to grow, to belong. With each breath, you carry their stories deeper inside, letting their rhythms soothe your mind and calm your heart. Their light becomes part of your own, a steady glow beneath the surface of sleep now. As you drift toward rest, let these intertwined tales lull you gently. The civilizations within and beyond are one and endless story of life, love, and quiet wonder. And as your eyelids close, a final thought lingers. In the vast universe, you are both traveler and home, a story still unfolding beneath the stars.